Gravity field surveys and reduction of data. Gravity surveys are useful to help solving a wide range of problems. Absolute gravity values measured over the globe are useful in determining the figure of the Earth. Regional gravity data when processed facilitates studying the tectonics and crustal structure in large areas. Closer the spacing of observations and the more the density of observations, that means, the number of observations in unit area, the greater are the details obtained from shallower horizons, and so is the application in exploring natural resources. Gravity gradients and continuous recording of gravity signals are employed in studying mining and earthquake engineering problems. Thus choice of data to be measured, absolute or relative selection of instrument, wide-range geodetic or sensitive prospecting type, spacing of observations, the number of reference base stations, all depend on the problem to be solved, and accordingly the finances and other facilities. General field procedures in mineral exploration. Regional and reconnaissance mapping leads to isolate target areas for mineral prospecting. Detailed investigations in such areas help identifying the mineral deposits or the guides, structural, lithological and stratigraphic to the mineral deposits. What is regional mapping? Geological details may or may not be known beforehand. Gravity observations distributed on a regional scale, say in every 6 square kilometers one observation, either along the available tracks and roads, or at regular grid permit preparing a 2 milligal anomaly map. Such a map in general can bring out the distribution of major geological units, and the structural fabric like tracing faults, and fold patterns, individual lithological features in schist belts, sedimentary basin configuration, intrusives. For these surveys a wide-range sensitive prospecting gravimeter is necessary. Gravity base station network at about 10 to 15 km spacing should be established, first so that the regional survey can be extended with ease connecting these base stations. Distances to be traveled being great vehicular transport is a must. For elevation and location control altimeters, and 1:50,000 scale toposheets will be sufficient. Collection of rock samples for physical properties, taking magnetometer, and portable scintillometer observations along with the gravity can be rendered at a minimum of extra cost. But the additional information obtained thus can be highly valuable in the analysis of the gravity data. What is reconnaissance survey? When specific geological, structural and/or mineralization trends like the extent of schist belt, the elongation of a graben or an extensive shear zone, or a deep fault are known, it is customary to lay geophysical traverses across the given trends. Closely spaced observations along these traverses ensure recording the signal from the deposit and its environment. Usually observations at 50 to 200 meters interval running along 2 or 3 long traverses which can be along the available roads or tracks will help identifying the anomalous pockets, which can further be detailed for prospecting. The accuracy of the observations should be high and controls on elevations, and position location should also be of higher quality. Detailed gravity surveys. In unidentified areas traverses and stations usually in grid pattern will be laid at close spacings. Station spacing can be as close as 5 meters depending on the target being explored. To trace an anomaly at least 3 observations are required to be well above the noise level. To analyze the anomaly at least 5 observations are needed above the noise level. Thus an anomalous zone of 50 meters width can be traced at 20 or 25 meters interval observations and can be estimated for its size, depth with observations made at 10-meter intervals. Procedures for controlling drift effect. As stated earlier, almost all types of astatic gravimeters have the drawback of drift effect. Due to the elastic behavior of the system under constant loading, the position of the boom changes continuously with time even without any change in gravity. Therefore, the readings show gradual variations. The smaller the rate of drift, the more efficient is the gravimeter. Usually this rate is about 0.01 to 0.03 mg per hour. Drift rate increases as the instrument becomes old. In general, the gravimeter will work efficiently for about 10 to 15 years depending on the way it was handled. Mechanical disturbances in transport and handling causes increases in drift. Not all the drift is permanent, and a part of it is recoverable. This can be noticed from regular repeat readings at a permanent station daily in the morning before field work, and in the evenings on return from the field. To estimate the effect of drift, the gravimeter is read at a base station at every 1 to 2 hours interval during field work, and a graph between time and reading is plotted daily. From this graph, the amount of correction required for each field station is estimated and affected to the readings. Pre-established base network will help minimizing the field time on travel, as the drift curve can be constructed with readings at different base stations. Another procedure is called the forward looping system, in which the number of repetitions at each field station is necessary. So this procedure is time-consuming, but more effective than the procedure of constructing a drift curve. Reduction of gravity data. The observed gravity data are to be transformed into what are called as gravity anomalies for analysis in gravity prospecting. Anomaly means a feature which is different from that expected or common in a given situation. Assuming the Earth to be a triaxial ellipsoid, we can estimate the gravity attraction on its surface, corresponding with the geoid from the International Gravity Formula. The observed gravity after tying to an absolute value at a base, and converted into gravity units, represents the prevailing gravity on the physical surface of the Earth. The difference between these two is the anomaly. It consists of contributions from various sources like the height difference between the geoid and the physical surface, the mass of the layer within this height, uneven topography, mass and homogeneity within the Earth. The steps of compensating for these different effects, so as to get the anomaly of interest, are called reduction steps, and each step of reduction results in a type of anomaly. To present interest being mineral exploration, we need to consider reduction of data for latitude, elevation, boulder plate, or the layer between the observation height and the geoid and terrain. Free air and boulder corrections are of opposite sign, while terrain correction is always positive. In fact, terrain correction is necessitated because of the assumption of infinite horizontal layer, boulder plate made in accomplishing boulder correction. Tidal gravity correction is not shown in the above expression as it is a time-dependent factor, and is usually taken care of by the drift correction. The anomaly obtained as above is known as absolute boulder, anomaly representing the effects of mass distributions beneath the datum, mean sea level. Absolute boulder anomalies are used in studying the regional geology, tectonics, structural problems. But in detailed prospecting investigations, one need not refer the data to the geoid and to the International Gravity Formula. What is required is the variation in the gravity anomaly from a known or general field. Therefore, it is sufficient if all the observations are referred to a base or reference station for obtaining the relative gravity and elevations at the stations. Anomaly obtained in such a case is called the relative boulder anomaly. It reflects the variation in mass distribution in the area with respect to the reference station level. In most of the surveys for mineral exploration, geophysicists resort to estimating relative Booger anomalies as it saves time and money by way of eliminating the need for absolute gravity or absolute elevations. Reduction of gravity data collected from moving platforms like on board of a ship or an airplane has an additional step. This pertains to compensating for the accelerations generated due to movement of the vessel. The first-order attraction is called Eötvös correction, and the second-order correction is called Brown's correction. These corrections depend on the speed and direction of movement of the vessel and the rate of oscillations like rolling, pitching. In the case of underwater gravity surveys, the combined elevation correction factor has to be suitably modified to compensate for the layer of seawater above the reading position, and also its depth from the geoid surface. Borehole gravimetry, which is useful in oil and groundwater investigations as also for coal, has a peculiarity with regard to the terrain correction. Depending on whether a terrain feature is above or below the surface level of the borehole, the correction can be positive or negative, unlike that always positive in the case of surface investigations. Also, borehole gravity data has to be corrected for double Booger effect to account for the material lying above the observation point.